The biggest gift I think they gave me was my imagination and not being afraid of that. My father was a cameraman when I was growing up. Although we didn't go to the sets a lot, we always went away with him on location. So just from that point of view, imbibing other cultures and being at school in other countries and learning other languages was exciting for a young boy. My working life started in 1976, and it wasn't until the year 2000 that I collapsed, and there wasn't really a day I didn't take drugs in between that time. I don't know whether my mental health difficulties come first, and that's why I started taking some drugs. I was quite young. Drugs helped mask my own feelings of inadequacy, and it fed my confidence. I was quite lucky that I was very disciplined, because it meant that I started having a career, regardless and in spite of having a problem with drugs. For a long time I was able to manage it, but it was always going to increase and destroy me. And it's partly what led to my breakdown. I didn't have any money at all. I was just sofa surfing from one dealer to the next, living a bit on the street. And it wasn't until I got myself a bit stable, I'd stopped taking drugs, that I found my mental health was really bad. I'd had drug-induced psychosis, acute anxiety. I couldn't go out and face the outside world at all. In 2005, I really wanted to be abstinent, and I had a son that was 3 years old. And I had been rehoused. We moved here. And for the first time in my life, I felt that an element of stability. You know, my childhood and working life had been one of moving around all over the place. I'd never gone to school to the same school, or knew my neighbors, or had any sort of community other than a very disparate one that was nothing more than my direct family, really. It was a catalyst for me beginning to understand a little bit about what recovery was. I had been going in and out of services for a few years, and they asked if I wanted to go through their employment services to think about maybe doing a job of some sort, which I was terrified of. They gave me this offer of doing half a day of a drop-in in a day service in Westminster, which I took. And I think it was that moment that I realized I could give something back as well that helped raise my own feeling of self-worth again. The fact that I'd gone through services and the fact that I had difficulties and challenges that weren't dissimilar to what the other people in the drug had forged a different sort of relationship, and they really thrived from it. It sort of changed the face of the drop-in to a large extent. And it was my first experience of what they called peer support. I hadn't understood what that was until then. But of course, I think I'd got some of that myself when I was in hospital. It was actually the times you went out with my other fellow patients that I was able to learn anything or feel any sort of worth, I think, in some way. They were the community, all with similar problems to me, so it was a sort of connection that we were able to make that I didn't have elsewhere. Reciprocity means equally giving. You know, there's something that I am getting from the relationship as a peer support worker alongside the person that I might be supporting. That's what makes people feel connected. When you're sharing something of yourself alongside someone, that helps build that feeling that they're not the only person that might be going through that thing. If we're going to walk alongside people and support them with peer support, then it's really important that they know that you've got something to give, as well as they have something to give.